Very good morning and welcome to Breakfast News. In the next 1 hour, we'll get you all the latest news and updates. We have different segments also, from national to across the globe, to weather, to health updates and sports news also. My name is Abhishek Mahajan and with me is my colleague Preeti. Good morning, Preeti.
Good morning, Abhishek, and a warm good morning to all of you. Yes, it's a packed 1 hour show we get for you every morning to make sure that you keep yourself abreast with everything that's making it to the headlines. We've got different segments as put forth by Abhishek, and we'll keep you engaged for the next 1 hour to make sure that your tea or coffee right in the morning tastes even better. First, the top stories.
Union Cabinet announces increase in minimum support price of Rabi crops for 2022-23. PM Modi says best remunerative price will be ensured for farmers. Agriculture Minister hits out at those spreading falsehoods about ending MSP.
Government approves production-linked incentives for textile industry. Aim is to make India a leader in global textile trade. Textile industry to get 10,683 crore rupees in 5 years. More than 7.5 lakh people to get direct employment. Prime Minister says the scheme will lead to progress in aspirational districts and will bring in women empowerment.
Cabinet approves procurement of 56 C-295 MW transport aircraft for Indian Air Force to replace the aging Avro aircraft of IAF. All aircraft to be installed with indigenous electronic warfare suite. Unique initiative to strengthen indigenous capabilities and boost Make in India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi to chair the 13th BRICS Summit today. The theme under India's chairship is BRICS at 15, intra-BRICS cooperation for continuity, consolidation and consensus. India had outlined 4 priority areas for its chairship.
Horrific boat accident on the Brahmaputra River in Assam. 7 people missing, 1 dead, 82 people rescued so far. Prime Minister takes stock of the situation, expresses grief, speaks to the Chief Minister of Assam. Relief and rescue work continues.
In a landmark achievement, India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 71 crore landmark. More than 73 lakh doses administered till 7 p.m. yesterday.
Mexico witnesses a series of strong aftershocks after a powerful earthquake that killed 1 on Tuesday. Shaken residents slept in cars and on the streets. In another incident, at least 17 patients killed after heavy rainfall caused flooding at a hospital in central Hidalgo state. Mexico, army deployed to provide assistance to rescue teams dealing with the disaster.
In sports, India announces squad for ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2021. Star-off spinner R. Ashwin makes a return to the white ball cricket format. Former Indian captain MS Dhoni to mentor the team.
And Hartalika Teej is being celebrated by women across the country today. The festival, dedicated to Lord Shiva and his consort Parvati, is mainly meant for praying for marital bliss and companionship. Right, so those were the headlines. We'll start with our national segment.
Yes, the Union Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs has increased the MSP of major Rabi crops. Wheat is up by 40 rupees per quintal at 2,015 rupees. Millets are up by 35 rupees at 1,635 rupees per quintal. Masoor dal is now being procured at 5,500 per quintal, up by 400 rupees, and a similar increase of 400 rupees per quintal has been approved for procurement of mustard and rapeseed. Besides this, the Cabinet has also approved a major initiative for textile sector with production-linked incentives totaling of 10,683 crore rupees. This and more in the report ahead.
another major decision in the interest of farmers. The Modi government has increased the minimum support price for major Rabi crops for the year 2022-23. An increase in MSP of major crops including wheat got an approval by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs chaired by the Prime Minister Modi. The support price of wheat has been increased by Rs 40 per quintal, making the MSP now at Rs 2015 per quintal. MSP of millet has been increased by Rs 35 and is now Rs 1635 per quintal. The support price of lentil has been increased by Rs 400, which has now become Rs 5500 per quintal. Meanwhile, the support price of mustard and rapeseed and oilseed crops has been increased by Rs 400 per quintal to Rs 5050. This increase in MSP is up to 100% more than the cost price. The central government reiterated that it will always continue to support MSP and will also continue to procure major crops on support price. There has also been record government procurement of crops like wheat and paddy in the last Kharif and Rabi season.
कुछ लोग ऐसा भ्रम फैलाने की कोशिश करते हैं कि MSP समाप्त हो जाएगी, लेकिन प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की किसानों के प्रति प्रतिबद्धता है और हमेशा रहेगी। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने आश्वस्त किया है MSP थी, है और रहेगी।
Taking another step towards a self-reliant India through its Make in India initiative, the Modi government has taken another major step in the direction bringing huge relief for the textile industry. The government has approved the PLI scheme in the textile sector. Under this scheme, a total incentive of Rs 10,683 crore will be provided to the textile sector for 10 different products. This decision will help Indian textile companies to emerge on the global stage.
मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ टेक्सटाइल के अंतर्गत जो टेक्सटाइल का उद्योग है उससे लाखों लोगों को रोजगार का सृजन होता है, रोजगार के अवसर मिलते हैं और इकोनॉमीज ऑफ स्केल को देखते हुए वैश्विक वस्त्र व्यापार में भारत का अपना प्रभुत्व और बढ़े, उसके लिए इस निर्णय को किया गया है। कुल मिलाकर 5 वर्षों में 10,683 करोड़ रुपया, 5 वर्षों में 10,683 करोड़ के मूल्य के प्रोत्साहन मुहैया कराए जाएंगे।
Textiles Minister Piyush Goyal said that the main focus of the PLI scheme will be on the rural areas including Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities of the country. States such as Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana will benefit from the scheme.
जब हम तय करेंगे किसको ये PLI स्कीम का बेनिफिट मिले, उसमें जो मापदंड रखेंगे उसमें 2-3 मापदंड पे विशेष जोर दिया जा रहा है। एक तो जो कंपनियां या जो फैक्ट्रियां एस्पिरेशनल डिस्ट्रिक्ट या Tier 3, Tier 4 शहरों के आसपास लगती हैं उसको ज़्यादा प्राथमिकता दी जाएगी। साथ ही साथ कितना रोजगार निर्माण करेंगे इस स्कीम के तहत, उस बिंदु को भी विशेष ध्यान दिया जाएगा, उसके ऊपर विशेष मार्किंग करके प्राथमिकता देके उनको आगे बढ़ाया जाएगा।
The cabinet's decisions show government's serious commitment to provide relief to each and every section of the society. The government is not only concerned with the welfare of the farming community but is also taking steps to provide relief to other sectors as well, which is likely to give a big boost to the Make in India initiative. Bureau Report, DD India.
Right, so Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the government had taken another big decision in the interest of farmers by increasing the MSPs of Rabi crops. The Prime Minister in a tweet said the increased MSPs would ensure remunerative prices to farmers and also encourage them pursuing operations. And on approval of production-linked incentive for textile industry, the Prime Minister said through the PLI scheme in textiles, India seeks to emerge as a hub for global textiles manufacturing. The PLI scheme will further women empowerment and accelerate progress in the aspirational districts.
And traders from Mumbai have welcomed the government's approval of PLI scheme for textile sector. They say that the move will benefit the industry and also people associated at large.
केंद्रीय मंत्रिमंडल द्वारा घोषित की गई 10,683 करोड़ की PLI स्कीम का हम हार्दिक स्वागत करते हैं। इसके लिए हम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी श्री नरेंद्र जी मोदी एवं वस्त्रोद्योग मंत्री आदरणीय पीयूष जी गोयल का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करते हैं। इसकी इंडस्ट्री को काफ़ी लंबे समय से आवश्यकता थी, क्योंकि मैनमेड टेक्सटाइल क्षेत्र में एवं टेक्निकल टेक्सटाइल्स में ग्लोबली कंजम्पशन के हिसाब से भारत काफ़ी पीछे चल रहा है। इन क्षेत्रों को बढ़ावा देने के लिए ये स्कीम बहुत काम आएगी और इंडस्ट्री से इसको बहुत बड़ा फ़ायदा मिलेगा।
PLI स्कीम लाने के लिए हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी और टेक्सटाइल मिनिस्टर श्री पीयूष गोयल जी का खूब खूब धन्यवाद। ये 10,863 करोड़ की स्कीम काफ़ी अच्छी है और उत्साहजनक भी है इंडस्ट्री के लिए। इसका फ़ायदा अपने इंडस्ट्री को भी होगा, देश को भी होगा, देश की GDP बढ़ेगी और यहाँ पे लोगों को जैसे स्किल्ड और अनस्किल्ड लेबर है उनको नौकरी भी मिलेगी और ओवरऑल पूरे देश को नंबर 1 टेक्सटाइल में बनाने के लिए काफ़ी लाभदायक भी हो सकता है।
Cabinet has also approved the procurement of 56C-295 MW transport aircraft for Indian Air Force. Cabinet Committee on Security on Wednesday approved the procurement from Messrs Airbus Defence and Space SA, Spain, for Indian Air Force. C-295 MW aircraft is a transport aircraft of 5 to 10 ton capacity with contemporary technology that will replace the aging Avro aircraft of IAF. The aircraft has a rear ramp door for quick reaction and para-dropping of troops and cargo. 16 aircraft will be delivered in a flyaway condition from Spain within 48 months of signing of the contract, and 40 aircraft will be manufactured in India by Tata Consortium within 10 years of signing of the contract. This is the first project of its kind in which a military aircraft will be manufactured in India by a private company. All 56 aircraft will be installed with indigenous electronic warfare suite. The project will give a boost to aerospace ecosystem in India, wherein several MSMEs spread over the country will be involved in manufacturing of parts of the aircraft. The program will provide major boost to the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan of the government, as it offers a unique opportunity for the Indian private sector to enter into technology-intensive and highly competitive aviation industry. The project will augment domestic aviation manufacturing, resulting in reduced import dependence and expected increase in exports.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will today chair the 13th BRICS Summit. The Russia, Brazil, China, India, South Africa grouping is 15 years old. The summit will be in virtual format and the theme under India's chairship is BRICS at 15, Intra-BRICS Cooperation for Continuity, Consolidation and Consensus. India had outlined 4 priority areas for its chairship. Now these are reform of the multilateral system, counterterrorism, using digital and technological tools for achieving sustainable development goals, and also enhancing people-to-people exchanges. More in this report.
The 13th BRICS Summit under the chairmanship of India will take place on 9th September. This is the third time that India will be hosting the BRICS Summit after 2012 and 2016. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair the 13th BRICS Summit on Thursday in virtual format, as part of India's ongoing chairship of the 5-nation grouping this year. The meeting will be attended by Russian President Vladimir Putin, Chinese President Xi Jinping, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa and Brazil's Jair Bolsonaro. The summit is expected to focus extensively on the situation in Afghanistan. BRICS is an important grouping bringing together the major emerging economies from the world, comprising 41% of the world population, having 24% of the world GDP. The theme chosen by India for its BRICS chairship is BRICS at 15, Intra-BRICS Cooperation for Continuity, Consolidation and Consensus. During the year, India has successfully conducted activities including the second edition of the BRICS Trade Fair, a unique event by India amongst the BRICS countries, wherein more than 600 companies from BRICS countries showcased their products and services. As chair, India will work on specific deliverables across all 3 pillars of intra-BRICS cooperation in 2021. Priorities include reform of the multilateral system, counter-terrorism cooperation, enhancing people-to-people exchanges, digital and technological tools for attainment of sustainable development goals. The 3 main pillars of BRICS include political and security, to enhance cooperation and dialogue on issues of global and regional security, developments in the global political space for peace, security and prosperity, economic and financial, to promote economic growth and development for mutual prosperity through the expansion of intra-BRICS cooperation, culture and people-to-people, recognizing the advantages of using technological and digital solutions to qualitatively enrich and enhance intra-BRICS people-to-people contacts. The 13th BRICS Summit under the chairmanship of India coincides with the 15th anniversary of BRICS as reflected in the theme for the summit. In addition to these, the leaders will also exchange views on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and other current global and regional issues. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Road Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari will today inaugurate an emergency landing field at Gandhav Bhaskar Bhakasar section on National Highway 925 in Rajasthan's Barmer for Indian Air Force. This is the first time that a national highway will be used as an emergency landing field for IAF aircraft. The ministers will also witness aircraft operations on emergency landing field. The National Highways Authority of India had developed a 3-kilometer section of the Sata Gandhav stretch of NH 925A as an emergency landing field for the Indian Air Force. The stretch located in the western border areas will assist the vigilance of the Indian Army as well as strengthen infrastructure of the country. And this facility is part of newly developed 2-lane paved shoulder of Gagaria Bhakasar and Sata Gandhav section having total length of 196.97 km and costing rupees 765.52 crore under the Bharatmala Pariyojana. Apart from the emergency landing strip, 3 helipads have been constructed in Kundanpura, Singhania and Bhakasar villages in this project according to the requirements of the Air Force, Indian Army, which will be the basis for strengthening the Indian Army and security network on the western international border of the country. Right, so Union Ministers Rajnath Singh and Nitin Gadkari will inaugurate an emergency landing field on National Highway 925. We're getting the information that several fighter jets also landed on the National Highway a day ahead of the inauguration of the emergency landing field.
This will also assist the vigilance of Indian Army as well as strengthen the infrastructure of the country. Upgradation and modernization of national highways is a priority for the government, and work has been going on at an impressive pace with regard to this. To talk more about it, Vishal Baristo is joining us. Vishal, we've given a broad outline of the program ahead when the ministers will be inaugurating the emergency landing field at Gandhav Bhakasar section on NH 925. Speak more about it in layman's terms. Tell us how important will it be for the region, and also how far will it strengthen infrastructure in the country? Vishal, are we audible? I think we've not been able to establish contact there with Vishal Baristo. We'll try getting back to him to get more on the news item which we told you just now. Defence Minister and Road Transport Minister will be inaugurating the emergency landing field at Gandhav Bhakasar section on National Highway 925 in Rajasthan's Barmer for Indian Air Force. Vishal, are you there with us? All right, I think we'll try getting back to him again. All right. Let's get to other updates now. In Majuli, Jorhat, a boat capsized incident of Assam. Preliminary reports of state government said that 82 persons have survived the boat tragedy near Nimati Ghat in Jorhat. The report said that Jorhat-bound boat collided with Majuli-bound boat at around 4 p.m. on Wednesday. The Majuli-bound boat immediately capsized with passengers on board. The report includes death of 1 person from Guwahati, while 7 others are shown as missing till last evening. Meanwhile, the capsized boat has been located at a distance of about 1.5 kilometers away from the place of incident, and no dead body has been found inside. 8 persons are currently being treated at Jorhat Medical College and Hospital. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief and prayed for safe rescue of the missing persons. Prime Minister Modi spoke to Assam Chief Minister and inquired about progress of the rescue operations at Nimati Ghat and also conditions of those with injuries.
Right now, an update on the flood situation in Bihar. A population of over 15 lakh in 1,270 villages of 13 districts remain flood affected. The situation remains grim in Saharsa, Samastipur and Purnia, where the many houses have been washed away in the heavy flow of Kosi, Burhi, Gandak, Parman and other rivers. The soil erosion has increased as the rivers are receding. 6 teams of NDRF and 9 teams of SDRF are engaged in relief work. 496 people are still living in 5 shelter homes and over 14 lakh people are being given 2 square meals through 251 community kitchens. Over 1700 boats have been deployed in flood affected areas for the purpose of transportation and reaching the relief to the affected population.
Let's take a look at nationwide COVID vaccination coverage. In the landmark achievement, India's COVID vaccination coverage has crossed 71 crore. Over 71.52 crore vaccine doses have been administered across the country so far, out of which 73,80,510 vaccine doses were administered on Wednesday itself.
And India's first ever elevated cross taxiway at Delhi Airport is scheduled to be ready by December 2022. The 2.1 kilometer long dual elevated eastern cross taxiways will help decongest the airport and improve circulation paths of aircraft and reduce approximately 55,000 tons of CO2 emission annually. The ECT will reduce the taxiing distance to just 2 km, helping airlines to save approximately 350 kg of fuel every time an aircraft uses the taxiing route, reducing nearly 1,114 kg of CO2 emissions for each aircraft. An MD of GMR Group IP Rao said that the GMR airport is always striving to implement environmental friendly measures and the runway is a step ahead in that direction.
We are constructing a dual eastern cross taxiway, which is first of its kind in India. Will have a substantial impact on carbon emission reduction by way of reduction of 55,000 tons annually. This construction is not only helping environmental friendly and also give good passenger experience. How is giving experience by way of reduction traveling time in the aircraft from runway to apron, apron to runway. Thereby, you can able to reduce the time.
Swachh Sarvekshan Gramin 2021 will be launched today under Swachh Bharat Mission Phase 2. As part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, Swachh Sarvekshan Gramin aims to support acceleration of open defecation free plus interventions and also results in the country. As part of Swachh Sarvekshan Gramin, over 17,000 villages in around 700 districts across the country will be covered. Over 87,000 public places, including schools, anganwadis and public health centers in these villages will be visited for survey. Around 1,74,000 households will be interviewed for their feedback on Swachh Bharat Mission related issues. Also, citizens will be mobilized to provide feedback on sanitization related issues online using an application developed for the purpose.
Right, and every day we bring you a story on freedom struggle. In today's episode of Saga of Freedom Struggle, we'll talk about Arjun Lal Sethi, the revolutionary freedom fighter and educator from Rajasthan. We'll also talk about the 4 sons of Mother India who braved the British. We'll also see how Shambhu Dutt Sharma contributed in freedom struggle, and we'll also observe 100 years of Aligarh Muslim University.
Arjun Lal Sethi, born on this day in 1880, in Jaipur was a revolutionary freedom fighter and educator. Sethi rejected the post of collector offered to him. He said, if he worked for the British administration, then who will work for the freedom of the nation?
In 1907, he established the Vardhaman Jain Vidyalaya, which became an important center of independence activists. He was given the responsibility of the armed revolution in Rajasthan by Ras Bihari Bose. Sethi scripted the attack on Viceroy Harding.
While serving as headmaster of Kalyanmal Mahavidyalaya at Indore, he was arrested and was kept in custody for 6 years until 1922.
In 1923, his son Prakash was critically ill. Sethi received a telegram urging him to come to Jodhpur immediately. Simultaneously, he received another telegram requesting him to travel to Bombay for meeting with the activists.
He decided to go for the meeting rather than see the ailing son.
The life of Arjun Lal Sethi will continue to inspire the coming generations.
On this day in 1943, 4 brave sons of Mother India were hanged for instigating revolt against the British Empire.
In 1942, the Japanese forces occupied the Southeast Asian region from the British. At the time, the Indian Independence League and the Indian National Army decided to recruit young Indian men to help free India from the British rule with the help of Japan.
In late 1942, 20 trained youths of the League managed to enter India. All of them were arrested soon after entry. 4 of them were sentenced to death for waging war against the king. These 4 sons of Mother India who braved the British might were
Abdul Qadir from Vaikom, Travancore,
Satyendra Chandra Bardhan from Tripura,
Anandan from Kerala,
Fauja Singh from Mehsana, Punjab,
Abdul Qadir's brave last words in a letter to his father were, "Do not grieve for me. From the eyewitnesses of my death, one day you will learn how calmly and bravely I faced death. You will be proud and happy then." Also on this day in 1918, Shambhu Dutt Sharma, a Gandhian freedom fighter, was born in Punjab. In 1942, at the age of 24, he resigned from the British Indian Army and joined Mahatma Gandhi's Quit India movement.
Shambhu Dutt Sharma was imprisoned many times during freedom struggle. Sharma's team was known as Gandhian Seva Brigade. On 15th of April in 2016, at the age of 97, he passed away.
In 1920, the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College of Aligarh was converted into the Aligarh Muslim University AMU. Thus, the present year represents a significant moment in the history of Aligarh Muslim University as AMU completes 100 years this day.
The Aligarh Muslim University played significant role in advancement of modern education on one hand and freedom movement on the other. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, who founded the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, published a book under the title of Asbab Baghawat-e-Hind, wherein he criticized the British rulers.
AMU produced many leaders who played an important role in the national struggle, such as Maulana Hasrat Mohani, Raja Mahendra Pratap, Ali brothers, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, to name a few.
Raja Mahendra Pratap Singh went to Germany and floated the idea of setting up a government in exile in Afghanistan in 1915. This was the first exiled government, a revolutionary step that remains a footnote in the history of freedom struggle.
One of the first non-cooperation upheavals was among the students of the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College. Reports of these incidents prompted Mahatma Gandhi and Ali brothers to visit Aligarh and appeal to the students to boycott their government-controlled institution.
Captain Abbas Ali, who studied at the AMU, was among few Indians who joined the Indian National Army in Malaya for the liberation of India.
Right, so we'll slip into a very short break. On the other side, more stories.
With the world's largest COVID vaccination drive, India is leading the way. As the vaccine reaches every corner of the nation, do not forget the mantra, Dawai bhi, Kadai bhi. Let's continue our fight against COVID-19. Vaccination along with social distancing, sanitization and masks.
Mask up, India!
Put your mask on and cover your nose and be safe.
Mask up, India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching Breakfast News.
Right, coming back to BRICS story again, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will today chair the 13th BRICS Summit. The summit will be in virtual format and the theme under India's chairship is BRICS at 15, Intra-BRICS Cooperation for Continuity, Consolidation and Consensus. India had outlined 4 priority areas for its chairship, and for more on this, we are joined by our correspondent Amritpal Singh. Good morning, Amritpal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair the summit, and this is the second time he'll chair the summit and third overall by India. And the summit is expected to focus extensively on Afghanistan situation.
That's right, Abhishek. Afghanistan is going to be the mainstay of the talks today. Because this meeting is happening at a time when important developments are unfolding in the region, and what happens in Afghanistan has a huge consequence on the whole region. And in this grouping, which has important countries like India, China, and Russia, who are main players. What happens in Afghanistan directly impacts them. So Afghanistan will understandably be the important issue that will be discussed. Also, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is participating in this meeting when the NSAs of the BRICS countries had met virtually on the 24th of August. They had decided for an institutional framework to fight terror and deal with the terrorism that may emerge out of Afghanistan. So today also, how to put together a framework, a coordinated response so that the Afghan soil is not used for terrorist activities against other countries, especially the neighboring countries. That is a concern that all these countries share. Also importantly, Russia and China are the few countries in the world who have established diplomatic contact with the Taliban. They've been talking to the Taliban. They are the handful of a few countries which have embassies functioning in Kabul when the rest of the world had wound up after the takeover by Taliban. At this meeting, they will be exchanging notes on how to engage with Taliban, what to do, with their recognition, their diplomatic recognition, and on what conditions should that be based upon, and what sort of assurances Taliban could give to control terror or other terror organizations that might operate from the Afghanistan soil. There is a big concern about the militia, which has been fighting the war for such a long time. What happens to that militia? Remember, that is an armed militia. Now, would that be absorbed in the Afghan Defense Forces, or could they be utilized by some vested interests to export terror to other countries? Now, these are concerns that shall be deliberated upon in today's meeting.
All right, Amrit, India is the chairship, and also we've given the broad, areas of concern which will be taken up during the BRICS meet. Also, BRICS started in 2001, and in 2010 when South Africa was added. It's been 15 years for the organization. I would want you to spell out more on its relevance, on how important is this a grouping on the global page to discuss important, specific global issues concerning the world.
Well, it is an important grouping. It is one of the most powerful voices of the developed world. These 5 economies of the developed world, which cover about 42% of the world's population, about 23% of the world's GDP, about 16% of the world's global trade. So when this grouping speaks in one voice or takes a decision, a collective decision, that surely impacts the world. And it is by far the biggest, the most important and the most powerful linkage of the developing world. There are big economies like Russia, China, India, emerging economies like Brazil, South Africa, who are part of the world, and geographically also, I mean, they represent different continents. So it's a very important linkage. So whatever decision they take, be it economic, be it political in nature, be it geostrategic, has its impact on the world politics. And today, when these 4 issues are being discussed, including COVID-19, the response to COVID-19 pandemic and terrorism, I think it does have a very far-reaching impact on the way the world works today. Priti.
All right, Amrit, thank you so much for joining in with those inputs. That was our correspondent, Amritpal Singh, telling us more about the BRICS meet, which will be held today under chairship of India.
Right now, let's move on to our next segment, which is Across the Globe.
In Mexico, shaken residents slept in cars and on the streets of beach resort town of Acapulco on Wednesday as a series of strong aftershocks rippled through the city after a powerful earthquake that killed 1. Mexico's National Seismological Service reported nearly 100 aftershocks, including one that measured 5.2 magnitude. Meanwhile, it was back to life as usual for residents in Mexico City. They said that they felt more prepared to deal with earthquakes, but most were still shocked. The 7 magnitude earthquake hit 17.7 kilometers northeast of Acapulco late on Tuesday. It damaged the control tower at the Beach Resorts International Airport, cracked walls in a hospital attending COVID patients, and also triggered landslides and gas leaks. Acapulco is roughly 370 kilometers from Mexico City. A massive earthquake that struck the Mexican capital in 1985 killed thousands of people. Southern and central Mexico is frequently hit by earthquakes.
And more news from Mexico. The country is witnessing severe flooding, which has led to the deaths of 17 people, most of whom had COVID-19 at hospital in the central Mexican state of Hidalgo. According to weathermen, torrential rains caused the river Tula to burst its banks. The Mexican government said in a statement more than 40 other patients in the public hospital in the town of Tula were evacuated by emergency service workers, and an initial assessment showed about 2,000 houses had flood damage. The media said the deaths occurred when flooding caused by days of rain knocked out electricity at the hospital. Mexican president has urged residents at risk to seek out shelters, areas of higher ground, or to go to friends or relatives' place.
And up next, we take a look at COVID numbers from across the world. As per the figures, over 22.34 crore people have contracted the virus so far, while more than 19 crore 99 lakh patients have recovered from the virus. The deadly virus has claimed lives of over 46 lakh 10,000 people globally. The US has been witnessing a resurge in the new COVID cases due to Delta variant of the virus, and more than 4 crore 13 lakh cases and over 6 lakh 71,000 deaths have been reported in the country.
And the World Health Organization is now down to manufacturers and rich countries to deliver pledged COVID-19 vaccine doses to low-income countries to ease global health inequalities. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom on Wednesday said that about 80% of the 5.5 billion vaccine doses that have been administered globally went to high and upper middle income countries. The WHO Director General added rich countries only supplied 15% of the billion doses they had pledged to COVAX vaccine sharing facility, a global program providing COVID-19 vaccines to poor countries.
There has been a lot of talk about vaccine equity, but too little action. We don't want any more promises. We just want the vaccines. I'm calling for an extension of the moratorium until at least the end of the year to enable every country to vaccinate at least 40% of its population. For now, we do not want to see widespread use of boosters for healthy people who are fully vaccinated.
And up next, we get to our segment Web News Review.
Right, so our colleague Anil Thomas is joining us for the Web News Review segment. Very good morning, Anil.
Well, good morning, Abhishek. Good morning, Preeti. It's an exciting morning. I have culled out 5 stories from you from the newspapers, the National Daily, starting first up with the HT, where the Kerala State Health Minister has clearly indicated that, students who are in their final year of examinations need to get their first dose of vaccination before they enter the colleges. Remember, Kerala was the state that reported the first case of COVID-19. Kerala's colleges opened on October 4th, and Kerala is still in the grip when it comes to rising numbers due to COVID. And clearly, the state health minister taking all precautions before the colleges opening, asking the health authorities there to get their act together, get their final year students inoculated at least with 1 dose before they enter the college campuses. So clearly a step in the right direction to at least keep the COVID-19 virus and the effects that have been seen in the southern state of Kerala under check. Well, moving forward to the next story that I've called out, this is from the Mint. This is about PCA. RBI has removed UCO Bank from the PCA restriction list. Why does a bank get into a PCA list? That's a prompt. PCA stands for prompt corrective action that needs to be taken by banks in case they fail to adhere to certain guidelines that have been set by the RBI. In this process, there are 2 guidelines that have not been followed by UCO Bank. One with regards to bad loans, the second with regards to capital adequacy. Both these things have been corrected by UCO Bank, as a result of which RBI has removed them from that list. Now there are just 2 banks left in this particular PCA list. That includes the Indian Overseas Bank along with the Central Bank of India. The third story that I've called out this morning is from Money Control. This is with regards to the markets, on how the markets have reacted. Markets on Wednesday ended on a flat note. Not much to look forward from the market. Purely the heavyweights clearly pulling the market down. And, all eyes will be on the ECB meeting, that's the European Central Bank meeting. People would be expecting some kind of positive output or positive outcome of that particular meeting for the market to make some headway. But then too, irrespective of the fact that the market was flat, Sensex managed to stay above 58,250 and Nifty managed to stay above 17,350. Clearly, both ending 29, Sensex ending 29 points down, Nifty ending around 9 points down. But clearly the market still maintaining the momentum. Still, it looks very much like a bullish market there for people to explore. The fourth story that I've called out is from Twitter. This is an interesting story. It's about the T20 World Cup and the surprise announcement that the BCCI secretary, along with the BCCI president, made with regards to MS Dhoni returning as the mentor for the Indian cricket team for the World T20 in Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, Dubai, along with Oman. Clearly, fans going all out. Cricketers also jumping into the gun with memes. Wasim Jaffer, former cricketer, clearly jumping the gun here, linking MS Dhoni's affiliation or proximity with the Chennai Super Kings team, clearly getting, bit of Bollywood there into play, getting a meme with Rajnikant on face saying, "Kyun hila diya na?" That's exactly what happened, because when MS Dhoni's name was announced, almost everybody following cricket was taken by surprise. Was he a part of the team? Was the first question that came to many people's mind, including me. But in the end, as the role of a mentor for MS Dhoni in the T20 team clearly is indicative about the positive approach that BCCI and the management has when it comes to, getting these big players who've got success in the recent past. Remember, Dhoni was the captain when India first won the T20 World Cup in South Africa in 2007. The final story is from Bollywood, where this story I have called out is from the Times of India. This is clearly with regards to, OTT platforms. Pandemic forcing us to go more towards OTT platforms as a way for, new movies releasing. Big ticket movies like Bhuj, Gunjan Saxena, Dil Bechara, all were forced to go the OTT way. But clearly, the last few months and the positive approach when it comes to COVID vaccination numbers and also the drop in cases clearly shows that, at least state governments are open to the idea of theaters opening and at least letting people in many states now go to theaters, as a result of which, few releases that have been lined up, like Alia Bhatt's Gangubai Kathiawadi, big South film called Triple R, John Abraham's Attack, all these films under one banner, under one production house, clearly indicating that they are not going the, OTT platform way. They would rather prefer their movies to release. So clearly this particular OTT platform run that we've seen for long, suddenly, looks like hitting a speed breaker with this particular house, movie house clearly indicating that they would be open to the idea of not going the OTT way, but preferring their movies to be released. So these are the 5 stories that I've called out this morning. Back to you, Preeti and Abhishek.
All right. Thank you, Anil, for the detailed web news review segment. Now let's move on to our next segment now, which is Sports Track.
And India have named a 15-man squad for the upcoming T20 World Cup in the UAE and Oman. Virat Kohli will lead the side with Rohit Sharma as his vice-captain. The tournament will get underway from October 17th with the final to be played in Dubai on November 14th. Spinner Ravichandran Ashwin is included for his first international T20 call-up in 4 years, despite not playing in any of India's tests against England so far this summer. Former Indian captain MS Dhoni will act as the team's mentor for the tournament. The squad includes Virat Kohli as captain, Rohit Sharma as vice-captain. Other players are KL Rahul, Suryakumar Yadav, Rishabh Pant, Hardik Pandya, R. Ashwin, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Rahul Chahar, Varun, Mohammad Shami, Akshar Patel, Jasprit Bumrah, Ravindra Jadeja, Ishan Kishan.
Tennis now. In US Open, British teenager Emma Raducanu became the first qualifier to reach the US Open semi-finals, defeating Olympic champion Belinda Bencic 6-3, 6-4. Victory means she will rise to the cusp of the world's top 50 and become the British women's #1. Raducanu will play Maria Sakkari in today's semis after the Greek beat Czech 4th seed Karolina Pliskova. In men's singles, Olympic champion Alexander Zverev moved into the US Open semis with a straight-set victory over South African Lloyd Harris. German 4th seed Zverev won 7-6, 6-3, 6-4 in just over 2 hours. He could face world #1 Novak Djokovic or Matteo Berrettini in the semis.
And now we get to the health segment, a segment we get for you every day to make sure you remain in good health and spirits.
We need a variety of nutrients to be healthy. Different nutrients have different functions. Let's understand what are micronutrients and what is the importance of these nutrients.
Proper nutrition is essential for good health. Micronutrients are the important group of nutrients that are needed by our body. Micronutrients play a central part in metabolism and in the maintenance of tissue function. An adequate amount of micronutrient intake is therefore necessary.
Micronutrient malnutrition is a serious health problem. Malnourished children are at a high risk of stunting, poor mental development, low immunity, and high morbidity. Comprehensive Nutritional National Survey has found iron, B12, folic acid, vitamin A and D as the most common micronutrient deficiencies in children in India.
Micronutrient deficiencies can cause visible and dangerous health conditions. This can lead to increased risk of many other problems and health conditions.
Micronutrients like iron, B12 and folic acid are all required to prevent anemia. Iron occurs in 2 forms, heme and non-heme iron. Heme iron, which is acquired through non-vegetarian sources like meat, fish, chicken, is easily absorbed as compared to non-heme iron, which is acquired through green leafy vegetables like spinach, kale, pumpkin seeds, legumes, soybean, etc. B12 is primarily acquired through non-vegetarian sources like meat, fish, milk, cheese and eggs. Folic acid is also acquired through broccoli, green vegetables, peas, sprouts, and liver. Vitamin A is available in two forms, that is beta carotene, which is acquired by consuming yellow, green, and red vegetables and fruits, whereas retinol is acquired through consuming cheese, milk, yogurt, eggs, and oily fishes. Vitamin D is primarily synthesized in the skin on exposure to sun. Usually vitamin D is available in fatty fishes like salmon, tuna, liver, eggs, etc.
Many of these deficiencies are preventable through nutritional education and consumption of healthy diet containing diverse foods as well as food fortification and supplementation. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
And Hartalika Teej is being celebrated today. This day falls on the eve of Ganesh Chaturthi. The festival is celebrated with full fervour in Bihar, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and Jharkhand. Women celebrate Hartalika Teej by worshipping Goddess Parvati and Lord Shiva, the symbol of love, devotion and faithfulness, to wish for a happy married life and their partner's health and prosperity. Alright, on that note of celebrations, we end this edition of Breakfast News here. But remember, every day before leaving, we leave you with this reminder to continue to be part of the fight against the pandemic. The fight is still not over. Wear a mask, wear it correctly and properly, and make sure you follow the COVID appropriate behavior. And also, all those eligible, go and get yourself vaccinated. It will give more fillip to the fight against COVID.
Absolutely, indeed, we cannot afford to lower our guard, although cases might be declining, but we need to be very, very careful. But before we wrap up, we take you to Bhopal. Now, in Madhya Pradesh, where Lord Ganesha's eco-friendly idols are being made from cow dung ahead of Ganesh Chaturthi festival. Take a look. Bye-bye.
Have a good day ahead. Bye-bye.